Hey, Mystic family, Mystic Unigon here, and welcome to a special Mystic Munchies. This is my tortellini surprise recipe, and it's one of the favorites that I've made up myself. When I first made it, I used meat tortellini, and it was just the green beans and sauteed onions with it. But then I'm like, nah, I need to make it heartier than this. So I switched to cheese tortellini and put the kielbasa. So basically, now when I normally make it, I prefer the French cut green beans, but like here, you can only get them in like the big bags, and you don't really need a lot for this recipe unless you're making like a huge batch, and they don't have any smaller bags just for like a single batch. So I just, and I hate, and like if I only make it like once in a while, so then the rest of the green beans would get freezer burnt because I won't eat them in anything else. Like, they just fit this recipe. But for this batch, I use the petite whole green beans, and I cut the longer pieces in half. So basically it's that, don't overcook them, just cook them until, you know, they're, you know, chewable, basically. Then obviously it's cheese tortellini. I just get the frozen one. Doesn't matter what brand. I use the store brand. It's all the same stuff, really. Just basically cook that how it says. Now the kielbasa, it doesn't really matter. Actually, you could use pretty much any sausage you want, but I love kielbasa. And if you're trying to be a little more on the healthier side, you can go for like the light kielbasa, or as I used in this one, turkey kielbasa. And to be honest, it really doesn't taste a whole heck of a lot different than regular, just because of, I guess, what makes kielbasa kielbasa. But it's still really good. And it's hard. I basically just cut that into like decent size, like circle pieces, because it comes in a ring, and then I just cut those in half, and then I just throw them in a bowl and heat them up in the microwave for like a minute 30, and they're perfect, and just throw them in. So yeah, this is basically a hot dish. Now, the big part of it is the onions. And I saute those in olive oil, and basically, this is one of my favorite seasonings. It's called Cavender's All-Purpose Greek Seasoning. I guess it depends on where you live if they carry it or not. The only downside to this is it has monosodium glutamate, which is not good for you, but this really does taste good. Now, this time I made it, I also used, I know a lot of people like Goya stuff, especially like adobo, and you can put that in it too. Basically any seasoning you can use, but I found this one on sale at the store, and it's really good too. But even both of those don't have a lot of like salt, so I get my favorite salt, which is Jane's Crazy Mixed Up Salt, and it doesn't have MSG. You know, I know Goya stuff usually does, but it has basically just a bunch of blends of herbs and spices. See, it says salt, herbs, and spices, dehydrated onions, dehydrated garlic. And this is literally the best salt. I put it on so much stuff instead of just using plain salt and pepper, because it's so delicious. But that's basically my recipe, so if you guys ever want to make it, it's that, those seasonings, the olive oil. You can use whatever seasonings you want, really. Just make sure you have salt in it. And that's basically the sauce for it. So if you guys try this and find a different seasoning that you really like, show me what it is, let me know. Like I said, you can pretty much use anything that would fit with those ingredients. So I will see you in the next one.